Broadcasting live from a zipline that never ends, this is Pop Culture Reference, your one-stop reference for all things pop culture. I'm one of your hosts, Garrett Strother.
And I'm your other host, Seamus Connolly.
We got a pretty light news week this week, but we've one news item that we are certainly going to have a lot to say about, I think. And we're back in the family for our main segment.
I can't believe it happened so soon. I'm almost a little sad that we didn't go to the theater for this one, but, you know, Fast 10 is right around the corner, as we said last week, so...
I'm excited about it, and, you know, we'll talk more about this during the main segment, but it's incredible how excited we were for this.
We were almost, like, scolding each other, like, how do we get here? How do we get to this point? But truly, we were, like... I was pumped hitting play on this movie the other day, and we'll get into it, like you said in the main segment, but multiple times on our feet, exclaiming just loud cheers of joy. We're true fans, Garrett. I know I make a lot of jokes about it, but we are actual fans.
We are actual fans. I never thought I'd see the day.
Oh my god. Why don't we get into some of the news that we've got before heading too far down the Fast and the Furious rabbit hole?
Well, first up, Jurnee Smollett is set to return as Canary for an HBOMax original movie written by Lovecraft Country's Misha Green. Lovecraft Country, also starring Jurnee Smollett, a show that we've talked about multiple times on this show in context of other things.
Yep.
And I've heard nothing but great things about, so I'd really like to check that one out.
Yeah, I love a weird, creepy, like it for me, seeing those trailers, it had a very, like, Jordan Peele kind of eerie horror vibe to it, and I'm into that for sure. But I will say, Canary from Birds of Prey, very, very interesting. That was not a movie that me or you received very well, but...
No, but she was one of the better parts of it.
That is very true. I will say I remember, I think when we talked about it on the show, you asked me, like, did you even know she had superpowers until the very end of that? Like, did you know that character was supposed to have superpowers? And I had no idea. So hopefully now we get a little more of that, maybe a little more fun with that kind of character, with her interesting screaming powers.
I mean, I thought she was really good in that movie. The casting in that movie is spectacular, and I'd like to see everybody in that movie return in those roles. Jurnee Smollett was wonderful on Friday Night Lights like a decade ago.
Right, yeah.
Though this, I will say, is kind of contributing to something that we've been talking about a lot on the show, which is DC seems to be kind of sidelining all of their minority-driven stories to TV movies or streaming movies on HBOMax instead of full-scale theatrical releases.
Yeah, what is this, number 3? We've got Batgirl was our last one, and Blue Beetle was the first one that we learned, which was originally supposed to be in theaters. But yeah, I'm not loving that. So far, it's been like you said, 3 very at least in this at this point in time in the DCEU, very prominent characters that are being just kind of shuffled away. I don't know. At first I thought I read this as it's going to be an HBO series, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. They'll expand it a little more. But knowing that it's a feature, like, they could have easily taken the amount of the marketing they put behind a flop like Birds of Prey and put a little more into it for this character, like that, like you said before, was maybe the best part of that movie as a whole.
I'll say that this one makes a little bit more sense to be HBOMax for me because it's a smaller character, it's a less popular character. Because I think Blue Beetle has a pretty significant cult following, and Batgirl is Batgirl, you know?
Right.
So I'll admit that, and I do think after, you know, you mentioned the failure of Birds of Prey, which was partially due to the pandemic because it came out not long before.
Yeah, that's
the pandemic.
true.
But I also do think that it makes sense after how that movie underperformed to maybe hedge bets a little bit with this one, but it's still part of this worrying trend.
Yeah. Do you think Mary Elizabeth Winstead is going to show up in, like, the after credits scene to be like the Birds of Prey initiative?
The whole movie, dude.
You think it's going to be
so good?
I mean, I thought that you know, they kind of set up that team up at the end of Birds of Prey, and I wouldn't mind at all seeing more of that, but I feel like this headline would be different if we had any Mary Elizabeth Winstead in this movie. I feel like maybe that would have even given it more of a chance of a theatrical release if she was a part of it, as maybe just more of a duo of those heroes might have changed that outcome. But I feel like because it is just the Canary, maybe that's why it's getting on the HBO Max.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to say.
Yeah. Now, moving on to some different superhero news, and probably something that we have a lot more to say about. In this past week, there was a very dramatic leak of the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer that has been very, very highly anticipated for we've been told legitimately by Disney multiple times, like, hey, it is right around the corner, don't worry, and it was finally leaked. And the very next day, we got the official drop of the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer. Garrett, did you watch the leak before you watched the actual one?
No, because I'm like, why would I do that?
Yeah.
Because the trailer's gonna come out anyway. I want to see it in good quality, and this is probably the only trailer for this movie I'll watch.
Oh yeah, I was sold before I watched this trailer. Now I watched it in earnest. It is very awesome looking. I don't need any more convincing that this movie is going to be totally kick-ass. So,
well, let's talk about what we saw. What we saw in this trailer. We've got Peter Parker. I guess like spoilers for Far From Home / if
the
you don't
entire
want to know anything
MCU
about this movie going in. Yeah, but Spider-Man, the world knows he's Peter Parker now because Mysterio did the thing at the end of Far From Home, which it seems almost like they've just like put footage. It starts with him and MJ swinging, and it just looks like the same footage from Far From Home, except they put in that like clip.
Yeah, I think you might be right,
which is fine.
But we also get a lot of I thought a big portion of this was Peter Parker as his civilian self having to go into hiding, but a lot of this is like public protests against him, like him what looks like walking up to like a courthouse maybe, surrounded by a crowd of people.
Well, you know what the rumor is, Seamus.
Is it my dreams come true, perhaps?
That, if Spider-Man is getting sued, he's going to need a lawyer.
Ooh, maybe a visually impaired lawyer, perhaps. One with beautiful stubble that he always has somehow.
A lot of people think that he's in this trailer, and I think a lot of people are grasping at straws because it's just a dude in a shirt.
I mean, then again, I think we can both agree that they're pulling an Endgame style fake out here, and a lot of these important shots they're showing, there's clearly like superimposed footage over specific characters. We have some theories about Spider-Verse-esque things, considering what some of the characters are wearing.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So obviously at the end of this trailer, the big reveal is one, we see a pumpkin bomb.
Oh yeah, and a very distinct laugh as it happens. Willem Dafoe style.
Which it looks exactly like the pumpkin bombs from Raimi's Spider-Man movies.
100%, yeah.
And then, of course, the de-aged Alfred Molina reveal in the most, boring gray shot I've ever... I mean, what else do I expect from the MCU? All I could think was, imagine how Raimi would have shot this shot of,
hey, man,
oh, he's back.
I mean, he's he, comes out of, a cloud of smoke after a explosion, right, at the very end? Is that what I'm remembering? Could be some false flags, man. Could be, we're gonna put a bunch of smoke around this so we don't give away the big real reveal that goes on here.
That's very true.
I don't know, maybe I'm grasping at straws of it's gonna be even better than we see.
When he says hello Peter, we see who he's saying hello Peter to is, of course, Tom Holland's Spider-Man striking a pose and going into his Stark Tech, Nanotech, whatever, which I really wish we would stop with. I don't like the nanotech. I don't like the way it looks.
No. I mean, it's okay. I feel like it was maybe cooler with Iron Man himself, but we did that. It's over. We got to move on.
It's cheaper. I'm sure it's cheaper.
Yeah,
and they just
sure.
got that effects preset that they just
whoop. Yeah, that's exactly right.
But you and I noticed that Peter's outfit, the suit he's wearing, looks an awful lot like a certain Tobey Maguire suit.
Ooh. That
from Spider-Man 3.
it's it's the blue shirt with the gray jacket and the navy tie. Like I
Yep.
can picture him riding on his little scooter with his white helmet on in that suit.
So we think maybe that's Tobey. Maybe in the actual movie that's going to end up being Tobey Maguire. I hope we're right about that.
I mean, if they really are pulling the trigger on all three Spideys, which, I mean, everybody's also just assuming that Andrew Garfield is in on this, but I feel like, if anything, if they were gonna have to do just one, it was gonna be Tobey and the Raimiverse. But
Yeah. Although there is there's that thing that attacks Peter in this trailer. Looks like it might be the lizard from the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man.
I liked the lizard. That I never had a big problem with that villain in that first Amazing Spider-Man. So I would be.
Reese Ifans is good.
Yeah,
Like,
he
that's
really
a-
is. I would
that's a
be
good
happy.
version of that character.
I'd be happy to see him back for sure.
I want to see. Well, I just want them to let Raimi do Spider-Man 4, which
They maybe could. I don't know. Maybe. Oh, wait, do you mean the MCU Spider-Man 4 or like
No,
suddenly
I mean,
he gets his Spider-Man 4?
I just want them to do. I don't need it to be multiverse or anything like that. I just literally want a sequel to the Raimi Spider-Man movie.
Do the
Because he wanted to
script
do
that
one.
he definitely has in his desk that he wanted to do 10 years ago.
Because he had the thing was written. There are storyboards for some of it even, and they were like, no, we're gonna reboot. Never mind.
Lame. And like now that the public is also reintroduced to Mysterio as a concept, I know that was a big part of Spider-Man 4 in his vision and doing his Bruce Campbell bit and making that a reality, which I would love nothing more than for that to be real, but I guess it's more of a possibility now than it ever has been since they rebooted, so, fingers crossed on that.
What if Bruce Campbell is standing in front of the Doctor Strange portal saying, "Sorry, Andrew Garfield, you're too late. The performance has already begun."
Oh, I love that, and he's never in it. A fake out. I think we were talking about it a little bit before. If they do bring in our boy Garfield, I've always dreamed of them fulfilling that freeze frame ending of The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Pull in Giamatti, get him in the Rhino suit. It could even be like Into the Spider-Verse, where we see a couple of different spider people in action as they get pulled through a portal. What if a portal opens right as that freeze frame happened a second later? Pulled in, MCU style?
I mean, retroactively, that would make the ending of that movie way more interesting.
Yeah, because it's such a cop-out. What? Could they just not afford Giamatti? Was that it? Like, he was like, you get 30 seconds for $500,000, and that's it.
Yeah, because they definitely needed him to do all the CGI Rhino stuff.
Yeah, God, because he could have been fun. I would even like to see a Giamatti as like a Kraven the Hunter. I feel like that would be incredible, but they just got him for nothing for Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I do love Paul Giamatti, and I think that he will not be in this movie. Though I think Jamie Foxx's Electro is going to be in this movie, right?
Right. It's like Electro, but he's not blue, is what I hear. He's probably going to be yellow.
There's some yellow lightning in this trailer.
Oh, yes, that's right. Maybe it will just be all alt-universe Sinister Six team up on the bridge. That's where Doc Ock comes in the big moment.
Well, let's think about Sinister Six. Okay, we've got Doc Ock. We've got Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, presumably. Electro. Maybe Mysterio. Because all even if Jake Gyllenhaal is dead, right? They've got all the effects guys out there that could still make Mysterio happen.
True. And I mean, what's to say there's if this multiverse pretty much confirmed a tear in a different multiverse where he's not dead, he could just come through with his Stark hating plan and still kind of have a thing against Peter Parker. I don't know.
And then you've got Vulture is still around in this universe.
Well, he's becoming best friends with Mobius?
I think he's going to be in Mobius. He's also in prison with Scorpion at the end of Homecoming.
Oh, wait, oh, right. So Scorpion is here.
So it could be, we could have Scorpion in here. Who knows? They could go crazy on us and bring in Venom,
I would maybe give a damn about Venom if they had the balls to just be like, fine, like let's just do it. It'll be good for everybody. Venom is interesting. Maybe he could be fun to watch mumble at Tom Holland. We'll see what happens.
The only thing is that now, I think Venom got delayed again to January.
Oh.
We just talked a couple weeks ago about how it got delayed to October. So the thing about that is, if Venom's delayed to January, now after No Way Home is coming out, I think that probably lessens the likelihood of Venom being in No Way Home.
Yeah,
because
maybe.
I would assume that that would kind of throw a wrench into the release order if he was,
Yeah, maybe. Or, I mean, who's to say Topher Grace doesn't make his appearance again as our favorite
everybody's
Venom?
favorite Venom. The best Venom. That's the thing. Raimi hated that. He never wanted to do Venom.
Yeah.
And he killed him, like, so definitively. You see his skeleton in that pumpkin bomb explosion.
So dead, yeah.
I mean, not that Willem Dafoe and
Alfred Molina.
Well, I guess Doc Ock has a less definitive death. He's just kind of floating there.
He did. No, yeah, I guess that's true. I always remember him getting like swallowed up by the sun at some point.
No, he just kind of falls.
He just kind of drowns.
Just kind of floats. And you can't tell, like, the arms could theoretically, like, swim him away, you'd think, and...
Oh, sure. Maybe he's, like, drowned enough to be, like, brain damaged, and the tentacles, like, move in on that brain property and, like, turn him into a weird Weekend at Bernie's puppet, and...
But it's also the multiverse, so they don't need to explain everything.
Oh, yeah. I mean, no one is gonna be... I mean, well, okay, some people are gonna be a-holes about it, like nitpick every little detail, but I'll be happy to just be like, it's a multiverse. Don't pick at it too much. It's fun. Like, have a good time. It's Spider-Man.
I was just reading today Roger Ebert's review of Spider-Man 2.
Oh, yes.
Like the original Spider-Man 2. And I sent you that little screenshot from it.
No, yeah, it really did make me want to rewatch it. Like, I haven't seen it in so long.
And he talks about how he admires Raimi's restraint in that movie, that he knows that character is more important than exposition. That you never learn in Spider-Man 2 why Peter is having trouble with his powers, and that doesn't really matter. Like, it's... You can infer different things about why maybe he was having trouble with his powers, but they never explicitly state it, right?
Sure.
So I think that Ebert is saying in that review, so many superhero movies get too bogged down in exposition and over-explanation and all this stuff that they forget to be about things. Mm-hmm. They forget to be about characters. They spend all their time explaining. And I think that's definitely a criticism I would have of the MCU as a whole. So it's my hope that if they are bringing in the Raimi universe, that they follow suit as well and know not to over-explain every little detail about the multiverse. That audiences are going to be able to accept it, so just do it,
Yeah, I mean, I think with the kind of stuff we have going with what Loki has set up and even using Into the Spider-Verse as a base of just like, okay, that was a simple enough explanation of just the universe is all wonky. There's going to be some wonky stuff. Don't be too surprised if the lizard shows up or whatever. I really want the lizard back for whatever reason.
You're really devoted. You're a devoted lizard fan.
Dude, did you ever...
I want to see the lizard from the Raimi movies. I want to see... They never turn Kirk Connors into the lizard.
Right.
He's just there. The guy from Trick or Treat, whose name I should know.
Oh my god. How crazy is it that it took me until just a second ago to realize that's the same guy?
Oh, he's in everything. He's so good. I really should know his name. I'm going to look it up right now because I feel bad.
Yeah, he's great. He's got range.
Oh, totally. Because he's not creepy at all in Spider-Man 2, or is he in 3? I don't remember which one.
No, yeah, because he takes the symbiote to Dr. Connors, and he's like, don't play with this, Peter, and he doesn't do anything to, like, turn it into the government or whatever.
His name is Dylan Baker, is that actor's name.
Well, Dylan Baker is a champ. He is great.
He's great. And he's got, like, the one arm and everything. Like, they're really committed to him being Kirk Connors. What do
you mean the one arm and everything? He has one arm in those movies?
Yeah.
You're joking. No, he doesn't.
Because Kirk Connors doesn't have an arm. Like, that's his whole character. Like,
well, yeah, I know, because he's trying to regrow his arm with the lizard DNA, right?
Yeah.
He only has one arm in the Raimi movies.
Yeah.
His college professor, Dr. Connors.
I just rewatched Spider-Man 2. He has it pinned up. He has his sleeve pinned up,
I need to rewatch these movies, dude. That never ever clocked for me, because I know Dr. Connors and the Lizard in like a general sense, and I always kind of heard about how they were gonna do that for 4 or whatever, but for whatever reason I can't see him with only the one arm in those movies.
Well, it is time for a rewatch then, isn't it?
That's true. I think all 5 of them, I'm in for it.
I mean, we could do...
Or 7 of them with the Holland ones?
I was going to say, you and I are always talking about what different kinds of marathons we could do.
That would kind of be a great one, because it would, like, start awesome, and then we'd have a little detour in, like, maybe underrated land, and then we'd get back to, like, oh, okay, prime Spidey MCU stuff. Maybe throw in a Spider-Verse for flavor.
I was going to say, do you do the Spider-Verse, and where do you put the Spider-Verse? Or do you just watch them in release order? So you watch, like, because it's Homecoming, and then it would be Spider-Verse, and then Far From Home.
I guess that makes sense. We take a little detour when we hit Tom Holland. That could be fun. That would, like, actually be an enjoyable one. Like, we keep picking marathons that are, like, going to be maybe terrible, but I'm also still in for the X-Men. That won't change.
But speaking of marathons, Seamus, should we go ahead and transition into our main segment?
I think there's no better time.
Today's main segment is F9, The Fast Saga, the 10th installment in the Fast and the Furious franchise, because some of the spin-offs count as numbers and some of them don't.
Oh, what a ride. What a wild ride, Garrett. We had a time. We watched this together yesterday as of the day of recording, and I think I had an incredible time. Did I have a blast watching this movie?
It was worth the $20 in-home rental fee, that's for sure.
I truly think it was. That was I mean, it felt new. Maybe that was part of it. I just need new stuff. I haven't been to the movies yet still. I was gonna do it for this one, but decided I don't remember why we decided against it.
Well, that Delta variant just picked up.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Came on, it shot back up.
It couldn't have ever been worth it to go risk the Delta variant for... Like, I like this movie, not that much.
I did really like this movie, though. I think it was a significant improvement. Like, the last 3 or 4 Fast and Furious movies were not good.
Because, yeah, they peaked at... 5 was when The Rock came in? Is that what we decided?
5 is by far the best one.
It peaked there, and it's been kind of middling. But this one was, it was as much action-packed as it was, like, really forced emotional stuff, as it was, like, they're getting more self-aware, and it shows. And I think that's what's making it more fun.
Okay, it's tricky for me, and we'll talk about this more in spoilers, I think.
Okay.
That they can't get... I don't want them to get too self-aware, because if they start... Like, I know that they're obviously leaning into it, but, like, things that are trying to be so bad they're good are never as good as things that are just genuinely what they are. And, you know what I mean?
I totally get what you mean, but, like, the way I was thinking about it all day today at work, because I can't think of anything else for some reason, it's like the times where they do find that nudge, nudge, wink, wink to the audience... Vin Diesel is nowhere to be found. He is in the serious side of everything because he couldn't fathom somebody making a joke about his family. And he's just... Because, yeah, we'll still always have, like... Vin Diesel is taking it seriously how big the vehicle is that he is flipping in any given scene.
But I love Dom Toretto. The fact that he is the most iconic original character of the last 20 years.
He really is, like, he's becoming, like, a James Bond persona or something. Like, he's got, like, his name has gravitas in the action film world. It truly does.
But I think part of the reason that this one's better is because Justin Lin is back. Justin Lin,
yes.
He did lots of them, including the two best ones, Tokyo Drift and Fast 5. The last one he did was Fast and Furious 6, which was basically just a retread of Fast 5, if I'm remembering that one correctly.
I think so.
But it's also like, I think that's the one where Letty has amnesia, and Gaston is there.
Oh god, yeah.
I'm trying to think back to the hazy 24-hour marathon we did in June.
Because 6 was the one where the ending stinger was Statham, right?
Yeah, Statham, and of course,
the tragic assassination of Han Solo.
Yeah. So then they brought in James Wan, and then somebody else did. I don't remember which one. I think James Wan did 7, and then somebody else did 8, and then somebody else did Hobbs and Shaw. And 7 was the only good parts were the Brian parts in 7.
Sure.
And then 8 was bad, and then Hobbs and Shaw we did not enjoy. But
God.
also we were like really so close to being like really like truly didn't know what was happening during Hobbs and Shaw, so we might owe that one another watch.
Yeah, maybe when they come out with definitely the sequel that they're gonna do to Hobbs and Shaw, where it's gonna spin off into its own franchise, we'll do a rewatch.
But I'm glad Justin Lin's back, because I think he has a tremendous amount of care for these characters and this universe, and I think that he is the only one that fully understands how to make it compelling.
Yeah, it's gotta be him, because in the ones that we know that he's done, there are enough layers to the fast cars that are on screen and the people driving them, and the motivations seem a little more pointed, maybe. I feel like all of the motivations in these movies are so meandering, and it's just so revolved around like fast cars that it gets drowned in that.
If you look at the ones that he has done, right? If you theoretically looked at this series as only the Justin Lin franchise, it's Tokyo Drift, Fast and Furious, Fast 5, Fast and Furious 6, and finally this newest one, F9. And if you look, like, there are 2 stories that are being told there. Like, those are, like, the most focused of any of the narratives in terms of, like, the 2 stories being told are the relationship between Dom and Letty, and Dom thinking he's lost everything that he could ever care about and refinding it, and Han's the other, through line in Tokyo Drift, Fast 5, Furious 6, and now, elements of that story are being paid off all the way through F9.
Yeah.
And once again, we'll talk about that more in spoilers. But you're right, like, the motivations and the character arcs are so much more concentrated. And that doesn't necessarily mean that the quality of the writing is better, it's just that it's, like, clearer, I think.
Yeah, I can say that.
I don't, like, this movie, you and I, we were 2.5 Coronas in before we even started it. So, we were kind of in the mindset, that we were kind of trying to recapture where the delirium of our original 24-hour marathon.
To some degree, for sure.
Though, and while I cannot tell you the plot specifics of, like, what the MacGuffin is and what it's supposed to do. Oh, wait, it kills all the computers.
It's 2 halves of a sphere that's unlocked by a person that does computer stuff.
That it destroys all computers or something.
It's like anything with binary code, it can take over.
And it needs to upload to a virus.
Or
it needs
to upload to a satellite that'll, like, shoot it into every computer on Earth or something.
Something stupid. But,
yeah.
I could tell you, however, the character emotional stakes that are being put up throughout this movie. Those are still very clear, even if the actual plot of the movie doesn't make any kind of sense. Because it's all about Dom, his family, and some satellite things that we'll talk about a little bit more in spoilers.
Yes. I would love to get into it soon. I think there's a lot of this movie that, for how just ridiculous it is, we do need to, like, extend our courtesy to the lore of, like, the Torettos and the crew itself, but... So,
I mean, overall, I liked this one a lot more than I've liked the last few, even though I don't think that was, like, the general consensus. I think general consensus that this was worse than the last few have been, which I think is insane.
Yeah, I don't get that. I think maybe
it's probably my blind love of Dominic Toretto. I'm just so glad to see him back after Hobbs and Shaw.
It's our love of Dom and the way we consumed the entire franchise before this, being like, What do you mean the last few were better than this? Like, we have that that knowledge burned into us.
It's a part of us now. Family is forever.
Oh, as we will get into.
So yeah, let's get into some spoilers about F9. Do you want to start at the very beginning, or do you want to start with the most exciting part?
Oh, man. That's a good question, because we did absolutely flip when we saw the flashback intro to this movie of the harrowing and tragic death of the Toretto Papa at his race. Just
Papa Toretto.
Papa Toretto with his cross necklace in his rearview mirror. We got the two Toretto younglings in the pit crew. We had a lot of opinions also about the choices for young Dom and young John Cena. I mean, for the most part, we thought young Vin Diesel was like pretty good. We kind of theorized that they did a little maybe voice work to help it get closer to that Vin Diesel grumble.
Yeah, because he doesn't really look like Vin Diesel as much as he just is moving like Vin Diesel and sounds like Vin Diesel.
I also think the tank top and bald head are doing a lot of work for this flashback. Like, we want to see Dom in this young man, so we accept it a little more.
And then young John Cena, who we didn't even know Dom had a brother until this movie.
Yeah.
Young John Cena has the John Cena head shape.
Yes, he's got the square head for sure.
He's extremely shorter than the guy who's playing young Dom, which I think must have been a Vin Diesel contract note. Like,
did you think that there was enough John Cena in this movie? Because I feel like very quickly this bad guy role switched from John Cena to our girl Charlize back as Cypher.
Yeah, Hannibal Lecter style, just in a glass box.
Yeah, fully, openly, unapologetically manipulating discount Carrie Elwes just like so easily.
He also maybe worked for her the whole time, and then they betray him.
Because she also references him as a puppet to somebody else. But was that just like her?
She calls him a puppet to his face.
Yeah, but like who would he be?
She calls him Yoda because there's a whole Star Wars analogy battle where he's saying that he's Han Solo, but she thinks he's Yoda. And obviously Justin Lin's really into Star Wars because he named his character Han Solo, but
right.
Yeah, that was a bizarre thing. I don't really. What was their goal? Did they just want to restart the world? Are they terrorists?
Yeah, was it Escape from LA style?
From LA,
yeah. Yeah. Oh, is Snake a bad decision? Did Snake make a bad decision at the end of Escape from LA?
Snake is the bad guy in that movie, 100%.
Like he could have done a lot of different. Like, it's obviously a parallel to him, ripping up the tape at the end of Escape from New York, but he kills the world, huh?
Yeah, he really does.
He's a real badass.
It's supposed to be Escape from Earth, which I really think they should do a video game.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like, bring Kurt Russell back, have John Carpenter on to write it and score it, and do Escape from Earth, the video game.
That would be incredible. Stealth elements, Metal Gear style. Get Hideo Kojima on to produce. Game over, bro.
He would do it in a second.
That's like his dream. He would, of course, do that.
But speaking of Kurt Russell,
Mr.
Nobody is in exactly 2 scenes in this movie.
Yeah, he's on a glitchy TV and in 10 seconds of a flashback, and that might be being generous.
But that he's coming back, because when they find his wrecked plane in the middle of the jungle, truly, I don't know why, but this is the one where it really felt the most like they were super spies, because it's not because in most of the other Fast and the Furious movies, they start out like, Dom is they might be in Cuba on the lam, but he's still drag racing or whatever.
Yeah.
But then in this one, he just starts out, he's working on his tractor with Brian, little B, little B. And then they get a phone call, Ludacris, Tyrese, and Missandei with braids show up,
yeah.
And they're like, oh, we gotta go rescue Mr. Nobody, and then they're just on a rescue mission. There's no pretense about cars or anything.
Yeah, really, they just, like... Because Tom's like, I don't do that anymore, I'm retired. And they're like, it's our mission. He sent it only to us. Like, it seems like those other 3 guys, they're, like, on call for the government now. Like, they're part of just...
You telling me they trust Tyrese with state secrets? Or they just, like...
Dude, he would just riff about it, and nobody would listen, and then that's how they keep that safe. Nobody laughs at his jokes, damn it.
Oh, well, during our 24-hour Delirium marathon, somewhere around number 7, we started laughing at Tyrese's jokes, which was a problem. And
yeah,
sad.
Maybe. Though we did notice in this one, like, he is being written a bit funnier. Like, there was less, like, painfully eye-rolling moments, and also
I wonder if
a
they
moment...
let him improv less.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Or more, perhaps? I don't know what the factor is on that, but...
But yeah, Mr. Nobody, he's still out there. They didn't find him, so...
Yeah, they really... That's, I guess, like you said, definitely going to be the setup for how they're going to go about the next one, unless... I don't know, maybe that's just Kurt Russell's exit from this franchise. He's like, I can't keep doing it, man. I'm out of here. Kill me off screen.
But that's the thing, there wasn't even, like, a moment where, like, Letty found, like, a smoking pile of wreckage, and then they, like, only showed her reaction face and her shaking her head sad. Like,
oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
They're literally like, Dom, we can't find Mr. Nobody anywhere.
It's going to be the opening crawl of Fast 10, and it's going to be like...
The dead speak. Mr. Nobody has broadcast his message across the galaxy.
Damn it, you got the joke out before I could. Oh, God. War in the Toretto family.
As we learn in this movie, episode 9, no one's ever really gone.
Oh my god. Wow. It's like poetry, it rhymes.
Han Solo is back from the dead. I called it.
Again?
I told you he was coming back, Seamus.
You called this way earlier than you should have called it, maybe. Cause
I called it half a franchise ago, but I still called it.
I mean, what do you do when your absolute best character keeps dying? You keep bringing him back, you know? Like, there's no rules here. Nothing matters. It's Mr. Nobody helps Han fake his death that was retroactively assigned to Jason Statham to be the inciting bad guy incident of the Shaw sequel.
But also, Jason Statham thinks he killed Han. He's not in on the death of faking.
Right, yes.
So, Mr. Nobody knew that Jason Statham was going to try to kill Han and didn't do anything about it.
Or was like, perfect. Now we can have Han be back in Tokyo, and all of his best friends will think he's been tragically murdered.
For like half a decade, they'll think it.
Yeah, man. Oh my god.
And he's back, and he's got a sniper rifle, and he's doing basically nothing in this movie, which is kind of sad, because...
He he's eating his snacks. I liked that they, were keeping us up on that, but past a few moments with, like, him and the old Tokyo Drift crew, and...
That was I really loved, one, that they brought back the Tokyo Drift crew, including Bow Wow.
Who's, like, responsible for their weird rocket science job, whatever the hell that is.
But I really was actually kind of touched by the reunion between Han and Texas Sky.
Yeah, I like that moment too. Because remind me, Han also dies in Tokyo Drift, right?
Yeah, Han dies in Tokyo Drift, and then they show it like several other times throughout the series.
Yeah, yes they do.
This is like the 4th movie that you see that scene.
How happy do you think that guy is that it's like, besides Vin Diesel, he is like the favorite? Like, screw The Rock, screw anybody else here. Han Solo, man. Sung Kang.
I mean, he's so good.
He really is. He's like, I don't know, maybe the most talented actor in this bunch. I mean, I like him.
Yeah, probably. I can't think of really anybody who's like a good actor. Like I think I enjoy the characters.
Sure, yeah.
But the fact that he's been brought back says to me that probably that Justin Lin has a plan for him going into the last two, because 10 and 11 are supposed to be the last two movies.
Well, they're supposed to be the last two, I assume, Fast and the Furious movies. There's going to be spin-offs, there's going to be...
Oh, yeah.
There's going to be a show, like an HBO show for a while.
Missandei with braids learns to drive.
Yeah.
Coming soon to Peacock Plus.
Exactly. So, yeah, I don't know, maybe... I mean, do we want to just quickly jump to the stinger? Because I've got maybe some theories.
Of Han coming to confront Shaw?
Yeah.
Hashtag justice for Han stinger? Yeah.
Yeah, man. I think that maybe they're setting up Han as part of his own spin. Like, Hobbs is gone. He was barely mentioned in this movie, if they mentioned him at all.
Wait, did they mention him in this movie?
Didn't they, or were we just talking about The Rock? Just like during this movie. Don't they mention it? Am I stupid? Maybe they don't.
Like, what did they say, though?
Man, maybe they didn't. These movies melt my brain, Garrett. You see, I don't have a lot of cognitive... Like, they do mush together even still. I'll watching that one yesterday, it's just added onto the pile of Fast and the Furious in my brain, and it's just part of the amalgamation.
Absolutely, I do get that.
Though
anyway,
did really think that Hobbs was going to show up with Han at the end of the stinger, but...
They're there together to kill Shaw?
Han and Shaw, dude, I'm telling you. That's going to be the sequel.
I really do think you're probably right about that. Like, I would watch it.
Yeah,
I'd be down.
It's Hobbs and Shaw, but Han is like the mediator between their BS, like, rivalry partnership.
See, I'm glad that Hobbs is gone. I was so annoyed by that character. Like, past 6, I was done with that character.
He should, just stay in, like, Samoa with his family and, like, reconnect there. And then in a couple movies, he can do, like, a big surprise comeback, and that'd be great.
Well, because, after Justin Lin left, they changed that character.
Yeah,
he was like, no nonsense. I don't care. I'm not impressed by your street racing shenanigans. I'm just here to get my job done and like, kick ass and take names. And then in, like, 7, 8, and Hobbs and Shaw, he's this wacky, like, he's just another quippy boy.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. I think they started letting him ad-lib a little bit in there, too. He gets comfy, and his, like, hard-ass persona definitely dwindles, I think.
Yeah, but, I mean, I like Shaw as a character,
sure.
So I would be really down to see Han and Shaw.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
But let's talk about some of the crazy action sequences in this movie. Seamus.
Great, like, train truck flip, but, like, it's flipping for a long time. I thought that
because it's like a mile long.
And yeah, it's like so long, and there's like super magnets in play, and it's just like vertical, like the Dark Knight for so long. Oh, the magnet plane is fun.
The magnet stuff in this movie was really, really cool. And
yeah,
I'm not ashamed to admit how much I dug it.
No, it completely fit in my mind. It almost reminded me of, like, it's a little absurd, but still really on... Yeah, it's on the table for anything that's, like, dragging a safe through the Miami streets or whatever,
I was going to say, it fits in the exact same logic pocket that dragging a safe behind two cars does.
It's still fantastical, but I'll buy it enough in this franchise to just go with it. And it's a lot of fun.
There's the ludicrous Tyrese and Missandei drive over a rope bridge that is collapsing and they don't immediately fall to their deaths.
Their car climbs back up the fallen rope bridge like John Cusack in 2012. Just like, that's not how that works, bro. Come on.
And then Dom uses the remaining rope from the rope bridge to swing across the canyon divide.
That was truly awesome. I was into that slingshot where he's doing like a Virgilian A Beautiful Mind car calculations and that bald head of his to be like, if I turn the wheel, it'll wrap around perfectly and swing us across. Granted, I think they did completely, like, roll their car on the other side of that bridge.
Oh, yeah.
But that makes sense.
That car is totaled.
Hell yeah, hell yeah.
And then they're like, well, all the bad guys chasing them were like, well, guess they're gone.
What magnet plane? I guess those are different bad guys? The bad guys are all over the place. Guys. I thought the bad guys
none
chasing
of the bad
them...
guys make sense. We cannot apply logic to the bad guys.
I think, we'll still, every time the new one comes out, me and you will go back to Cypher needs to be working with another famous bad guy from this franchise, maybe to make it better. Like, if there was... We always go back to the Cuban guy from Too Fast, Too Furious. He's still out there somewhere. He could be angry at Paul Walker.
He's still angry at Tyrese. Ejectocito, cuz.
Hell yeah. Could you imagine if he said that line 15 years later in another Fast and the Furious movie, like, to Tyrese?
Oh, that'd be pretty crazy.
It would get us on our feet again.
Tyrese is literally the only character left from that movie, right? No, Ludacris. Ludacris was in that movie.
Oh yeah, that's where he starts. Is that where Yuki is? Suki?
Suki? Yeah.
That's Too Fast, Too
I really
Furious,
was hoping was going to show up in Tokyo in this movie.
Me too. I mean, they definitely will bring her back at some point, right? I mean, they brought back every single character that could be brought back, except for, like, her and that other guy that's in that race or whatever with the earring.
Well, even in the flashbacks in this movie, they have knockoff Hemsworth guy from the first one.
Yeah, and in the Han flashback, they don't even have, like, Statham there. It's just, like, legs, close up on legs walking away.
Yeah, even though he's at... I think you're right. You had a theory last night that that's to preserve the wow factor of Statham at the end beating up the punching bag with discount carry always in it.
That was him, right? In that bag?
Yeah.
All day today, I was like, was that him or was that another callback that we just totally whooshed over our heads? But
would it be that's where the guy is from Too Fast, Too Furious.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I'm trying to think, what's the finale action sequence of this movie, though? Oh, the car in space, right.
Yeah,
totally.
They go, like, we've been joking about it for, like, weeks since we've become super fans. And that they're going to space, like, that's how far can you go? How fast and furious can you be? And then going to space. I mean, like, unless they go to Mars, maybe, in Fast 10, like, how do you top that? Truly.
First of all, they put the B team in space. You know, like, Dom didn't go. Dom's Charger wasn't in orbit, Seamus. It was a Pontiac with Tyrese behind the wheel.
You know, they're not going to leave the Charger in space.
Did they leave the Pontiac in space? Wait, how did they get
back?
Did we see that?
Because they crash into the satellite as, like, the upload, we can't stop it or whatever, you have to crash into it, and they do at the last second, and then we're at a barbecue. The next thing I remember.
And little Brian is saying grace. And
oh, yeah. And Big Brian shows up.
Yeah, and Brian's back?
Like, as the little button, it's like, there's one more seat open. Oh, he's coming in right now. And then he, like, whips his
blue Subaru.
Yeah, he whips the blue Subaru into the driveway of the Toretto house being rebuilt. That was a nice callback, too. And then it cuts to black. We were, like, stunned. We were freaking out.
So are they bringing Brian back in the next one, or was that just a nice, like, oh, we miss Brian thing?
Because that's the question. Why would they... Because they could just be doing what they have been the last few movies of, like, oh, let's not bother Brian, or oh, Brian's doing something else. But they're specifically...
Brian's taking care of all of our children.
Yeah. That's the thing. They specifically reminded us that Brian is here and he does see everybody. Like, why is everybody acting all weird when they're like, but there's one seat open? And they're like, oh yeah, because Brian is, like, coming. Like, he's right here. But everyone's just like, yeah, and Brian.
Like, he's on the way.
It's weird. It's weird. So maybe they could. Maybe they're bringing the brother back. Maybe Cypher. Maybe they'll kill off Brian. Is that horrible?
I think at this point that would be in such poor taste. Also, like,
but isn't also teasing him being there in poor taste too? Be like, hey, remember this guy?
Well, because It depends on how you read it. If you just read it as like a nice tribute to like, oh, Brian's still a part of the family,
Oh yeah, maybe.
I don't think it's in poor taste. But if you read it as, oh, something larger is coming, because I think the thing that makes it feel like a tease for the next movie is the fact that it's literally the last thing that happens in the movie.
Yeah, and it's like such a sudden cut to black. Like it really does feel like we're supposed to be excited for that next one because of this. And I don't know. I guess it would have been maybe a little much if they like, yeah, I don't know, they got Paul Walker's brother back and did more CG on his face or whatever. He like walks into the yard.
I don't think they should do that.
I don't think they should
not
either.
do that.
Maybe they'll do it like Days of Future Past style, where it's like 10 years later, Dom is the only surviving member of the family, and he's got to like hunt down Cypher alone with, like, it's Die Hard 4 style, where his son is like a little grown up enough to drive a car, and
his brother. Okay, so Brian style gives John Cena a car,
a
to
10-second
escape,
car,
right?
yeah.
So what's on me a 10-second car?
See, that could have been the tribute. That could have been it, but they had him drive up. I don't know. But yeah, John Cena's out there. I still think that
he's a good guy because just like every other villain, he's gonna be a good guy in the next one.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe it's Statham and Cena and The Rock all just like trying to macho each other.
The Rock says he's not doing it. The Rock says no more Fast and the Furious for me.
Oh, did he say that officially?
Yeah, he said. Well, it sounds like he doesn't want to because he and Vin Diesel hate each other.
Right, famously.
And so I think he'd do another Hobbs and Shaw or whatever, but I don't think he'll do any more mainline films. He said, "I wish him luck with 9, 10, and 11."
Okay, all right, sure. Yeah, he'll do a reshoot day where he's in a stinger at the end of one where he doesn't have to make eye contact with Vin Diesel. And
yeah, I was gonna say never. Like you can't tell me 11 won't have Hobbs involved in some capacity, even if he's just like in a control room being like, "Okay, everyone, it's time to go," and because Vin Diesel's gonna like say into his watch, he's gonna be like, "Call everyone," and then
yeah, Mr. Nobody's gonna like hire him on as like their new handler or whatever. Be like, "I'm getting too old for this. You gotta, this team." Hobbs, damn it. And you're gonna whip him into shape.
We didn't even talk about Dom Samsoning down
oh my god.
Chains, bringing the like weird water facility down onto everyone.
Yeah, he was really like, you know how Samson needed his hair to do this? I'm bald and I could pull it all down on top of me and survive, and just wrecks it.
And that's when he has the weird flashback where...
the dream sequence where he's, like, drowning in the weird black ocean water.
And they have the scene that looks so much like Christ in the house of his father, like the
oh my god,
painting.
Yeah, that was, like, truly a haunting comparison when you showed me that.
And that's when he's, like, thinking about Jacob. Because Jacob killed their father. I don't even think we talked about that yet.
Oh, yeah, he, like... something about how the dad was going to throw the race and how I don't think it was supposed to explode, but he messed with the engine enough that it just like burst into flames.
Yeah, because he asked him to help him throw the race.
Yeah.
Because he was too proud to ask Dom because Dom was the favorite son.
God. We really thought they were going to, have good storytelling and have it that John Cena beat that guy to death and Dom took the fall, but they just fully just went the way that it goes.
But also, now John Cena is mad that Dom beat the guy half to death and not him.
Yeah, and I mean, then we also get that post-prison Dom, the only street race in this whole movie, racing against young John Cena. They both get to do their, like, wheelie in their muscle cars, and...
With the NOS.
Love it.
You're right though, we didn't get the classic
there's
a car.
There's a Mortal Kombat X-ray shot of like the NOS hitting the engine or whatever. And they just totally skipped it. That's like maybe the first time since Hobbs and Shaw, because they always sprinkle at least one in there.
What a weird movie.
Truly a strange time. But real quick, before we wrap up, because I think we're like running out of insanity here, Shout
I
out.
I could talk more about Vin Diesel being slightly de-aged in this movie. If you
Oh my
want.
god, yeah, that was something that once you mentioned it to me, it was quite distracting as we went through.
Because he looks so rubbery, and I'm like, just look old, Vin Diesel. It's fine.
Yeah, just on like the bridge of his nose and like between his eyes, and it's just like it really did look too smooth.
But you were saying,
Michael Rooker as their mechanic father figure after he dies, the very blatant labels out Corona moment between him and Dom in their Toretto garage.
who else got a Corona?
And then the Tokyo Drift crew at the end were all cheersing Coronas at this barbecue.
Oh, you gotta love it. I mean, it'll never top Mr. Nobody pulling out a ice bucket full of Corona.
Oh my god, yeah. That was a great bit, too, because he's like, I got this great beer, but I know you, Dominic Toretto, you famously Corona drinking man.
Is Dom's cross the cross that his dad wore, or is it a different identical cross?
It looks like, because the dad's got a cross in his car that blows up, and then also
that looks just like Dom's cross.
But then aren't also both of them wearing their own individual crosses in the pit? Like, they all have one.
And I think Mia also has her own cross.
Yeah, it's like truly a Toretto heirloom. Or not heirloom, like a tradition for them all to have this.
Because they're a family.
Oh. So many family moments in this. Truly, like, they say the line is like, never get between a Toretto and his family. And I think that's iconic, truly. They knew what they were doing.
And it's immortal, just like a Dodge Charger is immortal, just like family.
The most insane thing. Good God. I want Vin Diesel to, like, buy a car dealership or something. Like how like Trey Parker and Matt Stone bought Casa Bonita or whatever. I want Vin Diesel to buy a Challenger dealership.
A Challenger or a Charger?
Challenger,
Challenger
excuse me.
Is what
That's what John Cena
Jacob
drives. Yeah.
Because that's cute, because it's a Challenger.
Nice little, yeah, love that. I can't wait to see John Cena back, if I'm being honest. I hope he gets to be more part of the family. He's going to be in the crew. Oh, duh, he's going to replace The Rock. That's the role he's going to fill.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they're both,
former wrestlers, jacked.
Obviously, John Cena knows his place because he gets beat up enough in this movie.
Oh, yeah. He's a wrestler. He knows that's part of the deal sometimes.
Well, The Rock didn't. The Rock, they had to count their punches.
Well, wasn't The Rock... He was a bit of a heel. He was never a... Right? Wasn't he a bad guy in the WWE? I'm so unversed in, like, classic 90s wrestling.
John Cena has never been a bad guy wrestler, I don't think. I think he's always, like, good
because he's all USA, ex-Marine, all-American John Cena. Like, I go
Which
to
they, of course,
make a
capitalize
wish or
on
whatever.
in the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, yes, very true.
John Cena goes on a zipline for about 10 minutes.
Oh my god, yeah, that referenced in our intro, that was one of the funniest moments. I still can't tell if it was like continuity, like really stretching that continuity, or they just like zipline train of like 4 ziplines between a bunch of buildings.
That is a sequence that I literally could not tell you what was happening. That's the same sequence where Missandei doesn't know how to drive.
Yeah, that was fun. That's funny. One of the crew.
That's where the car goes through like the entire building.
Oh yeah, sure. That's insane, but I love it.
So much collateral damage in these movies.
Oh yeah, they I don't know. Did they even say what government agency Mr. Nobody is really from? He's just like a G-man shadow government agent. Like whatever bills they're paying. It's a lot.
2 weeks in a row we got Kurt Russell though on this show, so that's always a win.
Oh, yeah, we did, yeah. I mean, at both times, criminally short screen time for Kurt Russell, I'll say that. But, I mean, you take what you can get with Kurt, and I can't wait to see him back.
Both have the promise of more Kurt Russell, so...
Yeah, they really do, that's true. I hope Kurt Russell is truly the main thing in the next one. I thought that was really going to be what it was this time around. I thought it was just going to be... rescue mission for sure, and I don't know. Unless he's, like, puppet mastering something behind the scenes, he's locked up somewhere.
Mr. Nobody's got some stuff to answer for, because it's implied that maybe John Cena worked for him before, I think.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
that
yeah.
Han, he's been hiding Han all these years, and all that stuff. Like, so Mr. Nobody's got a bigger plan going on. Maybe Mr. Nobody's intentions aren't as altruistic as they have seemed in the past.
Wouldn't that be the biggest twist of all? Like, he's actually Cypher or something wild. Like, Charlize is a proxy and he's been puppet mastering everything the whole time. I don't know why he would then go get the most skilled street racing crew of all time to become super spies, but...
Maybe because he's really their dad.
Oh my god. That makes little sense, but I'm kinda into it. Nothing makes sense in these anymore.
He'll be back. He might be a villain. I'm excited to find out. But I've had a great time going once again on this journey with you. The only Fast and the Furious movie you have left is Better Luck Tomorrow.
Can't wait.
But we've also got the Fast and the Furious Crossroads, the video game.
Yes!
And which is its own story that we could go on. And we've also got, someday Fast and the Furious Supercharged at Universal Studios.
I'm ready to join the Fast and the Furious family, I'll tell you that much.
We really are embarrassingly into this.
I say it every time now, and it is insanely embarrassing that we're super into this, but I think at this point we have to embrace it, or else it'll eat us alive, We're not going to survive if we don't start to genuinely advocate for these movies.
There's their own brilliance to them, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
And it's shown because there is talent that has to go into making them, like we were just dissecting for so long, with the fact that Justin Lin knows how to do these movies better than other people do. Like, James Wan, who I think is one of the most talented directors working today, his movie is one of the worst ones. It doesn't. Not anybody can step into this world.
Well, I hope. Do we know? Is Justin Lin coming back for Is he coming back for 10? Do we know yet?
I'm fairly certain he is. I mean, they shouldn't have anybody else finish this franchise.
He should close it out. Do Han some justice in the next few. I think it'll be great.
Because I mean, really, this is at this point as much Han's story as it is Dom's.
Yeah, man. And if I would even take give me a spin-off Tokyo Drift sequel, like a direct sequel. They all go back. Oh. They face the Yakuza again.
Yeah.
They're like,
because the Yakuza guy doesn't die in that one.
That's right. Maybe he's still holding a grudge. Around. Maybe he's like, because he originally, quote unquote, was the guy who killed Han. What if he's pissed that he's still alive?
Well, are there any? I think only the cartel guy from Fast and Furious. I think he's the only one that is definitively dead. They leave these villains alive in most of these movies.
We're going to get a Sinister Six team-up where Charlize is orchestrating all of their greatest villains against them. It's coming.
I want the Shaws to go bad again. Honestly, I think that'd be great.
Yeah, Mama Shaw's in this one. We forgot to mention. Oh, yeah,
she has sexual tension with Dom. That's an interesting thing.
I love that. I think they might have been better bad. I loved Statham, but he could have been, the villain of these movies. He could have been an ongoing villain, kind of like Cypher, but interesting.
I'm sure Justin Lin's got plans because remember, he's not the one who made the Shaws good.
That's true. Maybe this has all been a front. He's gonna Star Wars sequel trilogy just swiftly retcon a bunch of stuff he doesn't like.
Well, I mean, it doesn't even really need to be a retcon because now that Han's back, that automatically puts him back in an adversarial position, right?
Yeah, that's true, but the way he's still very obviously on their side. He's beating up Cary Elwes at the end, he's part of this weird team, even if he is kind of separated.
A weird team, Seamus? That's a weird way. You don't have a weird team. You got faith.
You ass. Do you think Jason Statham, Shaw, considers himself part of the family? I don't know, man.
I think Vin would consider him part of the family, so... I mean, he literally saves Baby Brian in Fate of the Furious.
True. He does his John Wick baby carriage moment.
The best part of that movie
that is true.
Is him
that is true.
In the plane with the baby.
Then he'd be like, I've got my own family, and then that's the intro to the Shaws TV show, only on HBOMax.
With Vanessa Kirby and Helen Mirren.
Exactly.
I wish Vanessa Kirby had been in this movie. That would have been cool.
Oh, that would have been fun. Or they could have referenced that disease from Hobbs and Shaw or something. I would have gotten a kick out of that. Yeah, that's the whole plot, remember?
Yeah.
She's got the disease.
She's got this.
What a weird... We can't start going back on Hobbs and Shaw. We'll never get out of here.
I think I said we're wrapping up like 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, I know.
So...
That's what these movies do, Strother. They melt our brains.
All right, well, let's move on to our pop culture reference.
Please. This week's pop culture reference is digital de-aging. Digital de-aging is a visual effect process that has risen steadily in usage over the last 15 years. Though used mostly for blockbuster studio films, this effect becomes more common in lower-budget studio comedies as well. The first film that used this digital technique was 2006's X-Men: The Last Stand with Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen. 2 years later, the process would become more well-known with The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, a film which won the Academy Award for its visual effects showcasing Brad Pitt's character at every stage of human life.
Disney is the film company that has used and advanced this technology the most, starting with de-aged Jeff Bridges in 2010's Tron Legacy, and have used this technology extensively in their Star Wars and Marvel franchises. Though similar to fully virtual actors like the ones seen in films such as Rogue One: A Star Wars Story and Blade Runner 2049, this technique still uses the actual actors portrayed on screen as the physical reference. As de-aging technology continues to advance, major studios may turn to this form of visual effects over utilizing traditional makeup or casting new, younger actors to take these roles.
Some of our past main segments on Pop Culture Reference have included some degree of digital de-aging, including Bill and Ted Face the Music, Coming to America, and Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. This technique is only going to become more and more prevalent. One of this week's news topics, the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, showcases a de-aged Alfred Molina that looks like he did 17 years ago in 2004's Spider-Man 2.
Seamus, what do you think is like the most effective use of digital de-aging?
Well, I think we've talked about it before, because it truly does stand out. Maybe because they don't keep it on screen for too long, and it is just like a genuinely well done bit of de-aging, but Kurt Russell, going back to him in Guardians 2, in those flashbacks where he's like romancing Peter Quill's mom, he looks really good.
I think that's the first time that I saw it, and I was like, wow, that looks seamless. Like, it looks so exactly right. Because films like Benjamin Button look a little weird. Jeff Bridges in Tron Legacy looks famously off.
Right.
And even something like, I think in Civil War, they did it with RDJ.
Oh, yeah, they did.
Before they did it in Guardians. And I don't even think that looks super good. Like, it's but I remember it being in the theater for Guardians 2, and I was like, man, that guy really looks like Kurt Russell. And I was like, man, it must just be Kurt Russell. They must have just gotten that good.
Yeah, it's. I think a big portion of that, too, I feel like that Kurt Russell moment is a lot wider in a shot. That RDJ stuff in Civil War is very much like a close-up on his sad young face in that scene where he's talking to his parents.
That's like a real close-up, and most of the Guardian stuff is like 2 shots.
Yeah. So I think that's a big key to this technique, is not focusing visually too closely on it and keeping it, as sparse as possible if you can. Something like we were theorizing in Fast 9 that they might have done some digital work on Vin Diesel's face was pretty much distracting me the entire movie.
Yeah. And I think that's something, like, I wish they'd used it more in Bill and Ted, for example, because that seems like the perfect movie to really capitalize on that. Like, they did it for a few shots, but I think they could have done,
Yeah, they could have
made it a bigger part of the plot. Again, we were mentioning this seems like it's probably a pretty expensive technology, which is why it's usually reserved for bigger budget films, because you mentioned earlier that it's starting to make its way into studio comedies, right?
Yeah.
But, like, Coming to America and Bill and Ted Face the Music use them for, like, one scene each.
Yeah.
And it's usually in, like, low light. So
it's where it works best.
Yeah. But yeah, Disney's pushed this a long way, and they're also pushing it, like you mentioned, it's got a similar kind of technology to resurrecting other actors or like mapping another actor's face onto a separate person. Well, like The Irishman and
Yes, that's
Captain
right.
Marvel, films that use that technology for like their entire runtimes, it really opens up the kind of storytelling you can do. And now I think Captain Marvel's de-aging looks better than The Irishman's de-aging, but also think about the budgets that those two films are probably working with.
Right, yeah.
But should we move on to Save the Rec Center, Seamus?
Let's do it.
Now it's time to Save the Rec Center, where we bring you our weekly recommendations. Seamus, you want to start us off?
Yeah, I'll start us off. Always going back to the old video game area, but I've been watching my girlfriend Kara play this absolutely bonkers JRPG the last couple weeks now. It is a remake of a PS3 game that got a sequel on PS4, but I believe the original game was never released in America, if I'm getting that correctly. Nier Replicant. Square Enix game, about as confusing as any Kingdom Hearts or Final Fantasy game that you can get your hands on. It's maybe one of the best visual graphics I've seen on any PS4 game that I have ever played. It is truly incredible, and though a bit confusing on the plot, it's one of those games that you're meant to kind of replay over and over, getting a new chapter of the story every time you do a playthrough, and it's honestly incredibly compelling. Just a world of humans in like the far, far future that have like returned to like a medieval era of society because of the collapse of humankind based on a disease that turns people into shadow monsters. It's pretty intense, but it's a lot of cool stuff in there.
You know, I'd always heard of Nier Replicant, and I just literally had no idea what it was.
Oh, same here, man, because I had seen a lot about Nier Automata, which is I guess technically the one that came before this one, but it takes place after the new one. Whatever. It's a lot of cosplay of like a sexy robot assassin girl that's like the main character is all I ever knew about it. And there's a lot of interesting, deep, kind of disturbing stuff about this game that I would definitely recommend checking out.
Absolutely fascinating. Is it on... So if, like, is it on PS3?
Well, the original is on PS3, I think, but there was something about how it was released where most people just played Nier Automata when it was released in America on PS4. So the way we decided to do it was go back and play the remake of the first one, then go to this first American one. It's a little complicated, but I think it's probably best to do it that way.
I think I understand what you said.
Oh, it's Square Enix. It's just gonna be confusing forever. Just don't worry about it.
I'll just stick to my Tomb Raiders.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, what do you got this week, Garrett?
Don't even worry, Seamus. I'm bringing us back, all the way back to the beginning of the show. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. I really, really want to watch this for the podcast. I think that we would have a lot of fun, but I just rewatched this, earlier this month with my parents, who were kind of nonplussed by it, I think.
Really?
But I think it is still probably one of the best superhero movies ever made. I love Sam Raimi. He is one of my favorite directors. And everything about that movie is just firing on all cylinders. The action, the themes, the character work. It is insane. Like, the formal choices are so bizarre, but they all just click because it's so sincere. One of the scariest scenes, I think, ever in a mainstream superhero film.
The doctor scene? You mean the surgery scene?
Yeah, the surgery scene.
Oh, yeah, man. I remember I saw that movie in theaters when it came out, and my mother was told to cover mine and my brother's eyes during that, and it didn't quite do much for the horrified doctor screams getting ripped apart as a buzzsaw goes off in the background. It's pretty dark either way.
If anything, what you were imagining is probably worse than like what's actually on screen.
Granted, I wrestled my eyes away from her hand, and I was like, oh, yeah, like, this is what I thought it sounded like, weirdly enough.
I just think that movie is transcendent. I really do. It's the best 9/11 movie I've ever seen, I think.
Oh my god.
Because I mean, it really is. It's reflective on what it means to be a New Yorker, on what it means to be a citizen.
You mess
somewhere.
with one of us, you mess with all of us. A real New
that's
York
Spider-Man
family
1,
moment.
but the sentiment is certainly
What?
there.
BS. What do they say in the train?
Yeah, you're gonna if you want to get to him, you're gonna have to go through me and me.
Oh
and
yeah,
me.
Yeah. A very similar, similar feeling.
But I'm just saying, I think it's a tremendous, statement piece about that time in America, and the things that we try to be proud of that we can't be all the time, but in the ideals we try to reach that in reality might tear us apart. It's sad. It's the only Spider-Man movie I think that really gets to the heart of Peter Parker, which is just the fact that he can't win. Like, even if you save the day, even if you defeat the bad guy, even if you get the girl, you can't win. Like, there's still
man.
loss.
I mean, that movie will go down in history as one of the greatest, like, fantasy, superhero, whatever you want to call it, of just, like you're saying, the way it's written is real feeling. The emotions behind these characters matter in what's happening in every single facet of, like, Peter Parker's life is supposed to fully affect Spider-Man, and it 100% does. I think Alfred Molina is impeccable in this movie. I think I still like, this was pre-creepy James Franco too.
Franco.
He's doing his little brooding, sad thing in this one, and I don't know. It's truly incredible, and I'll rewatch it with you any day, dude. I'm ready to do that for the show, for fun, just to marvel at it for what it is.
Well, when December rolls around, I think we're gonna have an excuse. So
perfect, as if we needed one, but that's even better.
Yeah, one of the best. Don't watch the extended edition.
I'm gonna make you.
Oh, but it's worse.
I know. Oh, God.
But that wraps us up for this week's episode of Pop Culture Reference. If you want to reach the show, you can tweet us at PCR_podcast. Find us on Instagram at PCR_podcast. And you guessed it, find us on TikTok at PCR_podcast. You can email us at popculturereferencepod@gmail.com. Give us a like on Facebook. You can find us on YouTube by searching Pop Culture Reference Podcast. Give us a like there, subscribe, leave a review on whatever platform you're listening on. Really helps the show out. Next week, we're going to be talking about... what are we going to be talking... Oh, it's Shang-Chi already next week. Another thing we're going to have to spend lots of money on to rent at home.
God, can't wait. Gotta watch maybe Black Widow? Probably not.
Yeah, I'm excited for Shang-Chi, though. You and I will probably be sitting on your broken couch before the week is out.
Hell yeah, can't wait, man. What do we drink to Shang-Chi? There's nothing that goes along with that.
We'll do some research.
Yeah, we'll find something.
Mandarin orange juice.
Boom time. We'll eat 10 onion rings or some BS. I don't know.
Cute. I like that. That sounds like a terrible mix.
Oh, truly it does. Oh, God. Anyway, adios, amigos.